Hello, welcome to the Multidimensional Human Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Archelaus, and today we're talking about one of my absolute favorite topics, how to get your too good to be true life. If you've ever looked at someone else's successful life and thought, I have no idea how to get there. There's no way I could go from where I am right now to the whatever it is specifics that you're looking for or recognizing that someone else already has. We're talking like celebrity style life or just happiness, peace, ease. I'm such a proponent for living a very specific life, like honing in on what it is that you love and going all in on that, even if it's 10 different things. But I know that can also just seem insurmountable. So today we're going to talk about how to get to your too good to be true life. I'll give you some good steps. I'll give you a free resource at the end and hopefully some inspiration because I can see the path. And so hopefully by the end, you'll see the path too. So what I was originally going to title this episode is You Have to Give Yourself What You Want. That's really the key. So even when I look at people who are wildly successful today by, like American standards, right? Rich and famous and doing what they love and looking good and all the things, they got there by giving themselves what they want first. Like, let's think, Mindy Kaling always comes to mind because I followed her from the very beginning. She wanted to be a comedy writer, so she studied comedy as a kid. She would write out the screenplay of comedies. She would literally write them out longhand. And then she went to school and joined the comedy club in her school, which I think was an Ivy League school. And then she and her friend put on an off-Broadway play, which is really where she got her, I guess, big break. But even when you're getting a big break, you still have to follow through and continue giving yourself what you want. Think of it as like a stair step instead of A to B. Like every little step, you're giving yourself more of what you want. But there's also Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga was doing her thing, performing at shows around New York. And then someone heard her singing in a store. She was just in a store singing. And the store clerk's father was a producer or something like that. And then it just went on and on and on and on. And so when I think about my own life and how I got here, even just with my hiking, like I was a hiker in Connecticut and in Arizona. And then when I was traveling in my van, I hiked all over the country. But when I got to Utah, I looked at the mountains and I was like, oh my God, those are so intimidating. There's no way I could do that. And so I went from 7 years ago looking at them thinking there's no way I could possibly ever do that. I'm not fit enough for that. I've never been in the mountains. That's scary. There's bears up there. There's moose up there. To now peak bagging. I'm hiking multiple peaks in one day and feeling pretty good after. I hiked 4 peaks in the last 4 days and I could go again and I'm very excited too. So you just have to work yourself up there. I didn't go from scared of the mountains to then doing this. I went from, let me do all the easy trails that I can. Let me do all the moderate trails that I can. Let me try a hard trail. Oh, I can do hard trails. Let me try multiple things. Let me string things together. Let me create my own routes. And you just build confidence over time. So instead of thinking like, okay, I want this magical, incredible, specific life of mine. I don't know how to get there. I don't know how to go from A to B. Now we got to wind it back and think, what is the one thing that I want to do right now? What is my first stair step? Is it an easy trail? Are you wanting to become a hiker? My friend, a former coaching client, she really wanted to do more traveling. And so one of her first steps was to take the entire month of August off. This was a long time ago. She wanted to go away with her husband for a whole month. She was just really starting to get some momentum in her business, and here she was shutting it down for a month. And she decided to do it. And in fact, a coaching client, or that wasn't a coaching client, it was sort of like coaching and development of what she was doing back then, and wanted to work with her right before she was about to go away. And my client was like, I'm so sorry, I'm taking the whole month of August off. Is it okay if we start after? Or we'd have to start after. And the client was so impressed that she was doing that she booked her. So giving yourself what you want will always work in your favor. I know that absolute statements are scary, and maybe I don't even mean it as an always, because sometimes it doesn't feel like what we want. Sometimes there are repercussions to giving ourselves what we want, and they're not enjoyable maybe. But in the long run, if you're making an aligned decision for you, if it's your truth, if you're giving yourself your truth, it will work out. It will always work out, and it will work out for all of the people that it concerns as well. You can't make a decision about your truth and ultimately in the long run have it be a negative choice. I could tell you lots of stories about myself. Like, actually, when I was getting my bachelor's degree, I was in a speech class. I guess public speaking is what it was called. And I decided to do my speech on following your intuition, because I'm me. And I talked about how I went from the idea of, so I had a candle company, and I created some lotions and candles like for the bedroom, for like sexy times. My boss at work had written a series of short poems, very accessible, like easy to read poems about Sappho, the Greek lesbian. And I figured, oh, it would be cute to make like a really short book to go with this. I was calling it at the time the Kindle collection. This was before Amazon Kindle was a thing, by the way. So I thought, let me package these all together. So I asked him permission, can I publish this? He said yes. I put it together in a little book, and I sold it. And then I found out that me publishing that turned out to be the first time that form of poetry was ever published in a whole book form. There had been anthologies, so different authors published in one book, but there's never been a single volume of that form of poetry before. So the creator of that form of poetry reached out to me and tried to buy a book, but I was like, you are not buying this book. I'm sending you this book for free. So, and that's what established my publishing company, because when I was publishing it, you kind of had a choice. Do you want to use the ISBN of Amazon or whatever at the time? Do you want us to give you an ISBN? Do you even want an ISBN? I didn't need one. I was just publishing this little book for my candle company. I wasn't trying to become anything. But I just decided, you know what? I might want to publish more books. Let me just become a small press, have my own ISBNs, register this, as a company. And so I did that. And then I went on to publish many, many, many more books. And we've been in New York Book Expo. I've traveled all over the country. I've sold thousands of books under my press name. I've been in the New Yorker. Like, I never, ever would have thought that any of that would be possible. I'm in libraries. I had no idea that stair step would bring me there. I had no idea. And that's kind of the point. It's like, if you give yourself what you want in the moment, I wanted to publish that little collection of poetry that he'd written. In the moment, I wanted to be my own little press instead of just going without an ISBN, right? In the moment, I wanted to write more books. In the moment, I wanted to make a collection of poetry about the afterlife. That connected me with poets all over the world. In the moment, you know what I mean? So our little stair steps are created by giving ourselves what we want in the moment. And that's also how we increase our confidence and our happiness. So every time I did one of those trails, whether it was easy, moderate, hard, I increased my confidence, I increased my happiness. I reinforced that that is what I love to do. I reinforced that this was worth the effort of waking up early or packing my bag the night before or buying this specific piece of gear. Now I'm very well equipped for what I do, right? I gained incremental knowledge and gear and confidence and happiness and route finding ability. And, we just did this big hike on Sunday, and it didn't go completely to plan. We actually took a few wrong turns and ended up in a pretty sketchy situation. And my years of experience got us out. And that was really good to know. It made having made the mistake a good lesson, but it also gave me more confidence that I can handle things like that. So, what do you want? What is it that you're looking for? And this is where my free resource comes in. So I, many years ago, taught a class called the Soul Focus Method. And it brings you through how to know what it is that you want right now and whether or not it's aligned, whether or not it's really your truth. Do you want this just to show off? Do you want this because your mom wanted this for you? Or do you want this because it's really you? So that's the first class. It helps you do that. And I'm giving that to you for free. So I'll leave a link around here. You can also go to my website, archelaus.com, and find my courses somewhere there and look for the Soul Focus course. And the free, it's just right there. I don't even think you have to enter any information. I think you can just do it. If anything, you have to enter your email, but I'm not really sure at this moment. So yeah, that will bring you through this little guided exercise to write down everything that you want and then to pick and choose what it is that's really authentic for you, specific for you. And that's really helpful. That I've done that exercise this year and it was very helpful for me. It also helps me focus because I want a lot of things. And I know I can have all of those things, but sometimes it's nice just to see what is for me right now. And it also helps you do that. So I did cross a few things off my list that I know I really authentically want, but right now is for these things that I left. So I hope you really enjoy that. It's a very good class, and you'll see the very different version of me from way back then, which is also really fun. Living a specific life, giving ourselves what we want. And let's talk about resistance, because we can't have a conversation about giving yourself what you want without addressing the fact that there's probably a million buts in your head. But I don't have time, but I don't have energy, but I don't know what to do, but there's nowhere I can go, but I don't have any, blah, 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 right? I mean, I get them too. This is not like an attack on you. This is just a moment of recognition that we all deal with resistance. And sometimes that means we're aiming too high, right? Like if I showed up here in Utah 7 years ago, looked at the top of the mountain that I can see because I can see them from my house, and thought, okay, girl, you have to get up there, get over your fear, stop being a baby, walk up that mountain right now. A lot of resistance, lots and lots and lots. No, I was aiming too high if I chose to do that. What was accessible? Actually, the first hikes I did here weren't even in the mountains. They were in a local park called Dimple Dell. And it's sort of like a canyon park. So there's some climbing and up and down, but it's very minor. It's actually not even in the mountains. So that got me acquainted with even just being at this elevation, because being at 4,500 feet, living here, there's less air, less oxygen in the air. And so finding my fitness basically at the level that my house is was very helpful before going up even further into the mountains. When I did go up into the mountains the first times, I could barely go 10 feet without stopping and gasping. It was pretty crazy. In fact, I could barely run up and down the stairs in my house when I first moved here. So go at your own pace. There's no need to rush anything. If you have a lot of resistance, how can you aim lower? What can I actually give myself today? What is accessible right now or this week? I remember I really wanted to go skiing here, and I had the same fears because the mountains here are much higher, steeper, and, scary. I've never been here before. And so I lowered my expectations of, okay, if I just get on the bus, go to the ski resort, and you just don't even get off the bus, just come back down, that is a win for today. That is my first stair step. That is getting me acclimated to do the thing that I want to do. And the first time I went skiing here, I actually booked a private lesson because I figured, yeah, it was a little expensive. It was like $100, but it's a safer way for me to learn the mountain, learn what ski lifts were appropriate for me, what ski runs would work for me, and that was a wildly incredible investment. Not about taking a smaller step. It could be that you just don't have any wiggle room, energy-wise, capacity-wise, in the life that you're already living, which is totally possible. Especially if you're neurodivergent, if you've got, a lot going on, if you're a caretaker, that kind of thing. And for that, it can be difficult to get around that resistance and that momentum and see what could be changed. And that's why I offer sensory support sessions, because I can take a look, I can give you your sensory profile, we can take a peek into like what can be tweaked, what can be offloaded, what can be changed. And you'd be so surprised at how creating a more suitable environment for yourself frees up a lot of energy, because your nervous system is using so much energy just to maintain. If you're in a environment that's not right for you, this doesn't mean you have to move. This doesn't mean you have to do huge things. Even little tweaks can give you more energy, more capacity, more happiness, so that you can then devote more to getting to the life that you really love. So if you want to check that out, go to my website, archelaus.com, and work with us, and you'll see our sensory support sessions. So I just wanted you to know here that you can have a very tailored, specific, too good to be true life, and it doesn't take a quantum leap. It doesn't take from going A, where you are right now, to B, all the way there, fully functional, you won the lottery, everything's perfect, right? Because that's not true anyway. It's really that stair step that will get you there. Because I look back, I didn't even talk about this. So the cool thing is, when you do give yourself what you want, you actually open doors you didn't even know you wanted. You get to unlock new things that like completely change your world. So one of these things for me, and I love the non-linear progression of this. So let's take one of my examples, and then we'll go to another other person's example, because I know that probably has a little more sway, right? Understandably. So for me, I knew for a long time that I wanted to work out more. I need to move my body, right? I need to express some energy physically. I wasn't really doing a good job of that, and it was taking its toll. I was moody, I was sluggish, I was a little unmotivated, and I noticed a pattern that whenever I did like sort of a harder yoga session in my, just right here from YouTube, I felt better. So I was like, all right, I need to do something a bit more consistently. So I thought, maybe Orange Theory would be good for me because they tell you what to do. It's an hour, you show up, and then you go home. And so anyway, I sort of got into that because my neighbor texted me by accident, and I found out that she went. And so then I went and did it one class where she was going to be there, and I loved it. So I signed up. And then a couple years into that, this year actually, I decided to devote a bit more time to running. And that wildly shook my world, right? I never thought I would want to be a distance runner. I never was interested in distance running. I ran track as a kid, but I sprinted, and we never ran more than a lap, really. This was a whole new world to me. I'd never run more than like once or twice a week. And now I'm running like 3 to 4 times a week for a couple months now. It unlocked a level of fitness I had no idea I was capable of. Like, it's been so beneficial in every single part of my life. And I'd had no idea it was there. I unlocked a door I had no idea was locked. And it's made a huge shift in my life. And now, like I probably said, I've always been interested in this whole ultra running world. And now I feel like I could see how I could get there. I've kind of committed to doing a 50K next year in the mountains. So that's incredible. My highest run so far has been 8.7 miles. And I never, ever thought I'd be able to run that far. So anyway, that kind of thing can happen. The other story that I was going to tell you about is, so I worked with this couple for a very long time, and they really, really wanted to live passive income style and just like travel with their family. They have a beautiful family, and they're such a great couple. And that was difficult because they're photographers, and usually when you're a photographer, you have to like set up appointments, right? They were doing weddings for a while, and it was just a lot of commitment. And so I heard from her this year that their stock photo sort of side hustle was actually really taking off. Now, they'd always sort of made some money from their stock photos, but this year there was just this big boom, and they've been able to do a lot more with that passive income, more traveling, more ease, less appointments. And it just makes me so happy because traveling, they took more photos. So they did what they could do at the time. They traveled as much as they could on their own. And that ended up paying off by giving them more ability to do that. And I'm saying that because they didn't see that as possible. They didn't know that that income stream could multiply like that. And that's kind of the thing. We don't need to know any of that. We don't need to know what's ahead. If we give ourselves what we want in the way that is accessible to us now, then it will just snowball on its own, and we'll get to reap the benefits of that without overthinking, without strategizing, without committing to what ChatGPT says we should do. And I bring that up because a lot of people are making their decisions now based on what ChatGPT says. I think it's a great tool, but it's like a calculator, right? It can't think for you in making decisions. It doesn't know what's best for you. It could give you information to make a decision. It could guide you. It could tell you how to do something. It could do research for you, but don't let it run your life, right? Ask yourself, what do I want? What is lingering in me? What have I not given myself? And start there. Do your stair step and see where it takes you. I had no idea that this could be my life right now, and it is. And I did that one little step at a time. And it's funny because I talk about this sometimes. When I make a step, it's like everything comes, right? We have multi-dimensional results. If you make a step in the right direction in one area of your life, all of it goes with you. And so whenever I make a big upgrade, everything else upgrades. And that can be a little overwhelming if you don't realize what's happening, Because you might think, I have to do all of these things and pull them up, but really, you just keep giving yourself what you want and it all comes. Okay, this is enough for today. Lots and lots of love. Go check out archelaus.com for your free soul focus method course, your class number 1, and sensory support sessions to help you free up your energy, your time, your capacity to make these moves, these stair steps. And I would love to know, like, what is it that you're wanting to do? Let me know. I want to know. And then give it to yourself. Okay, super love. Bye for now.